Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be carrying on with this picture from Eriy. So I thought we'd start with this fruit bowl here, and I'm going to make it look the same as the tea and saucer that we did. So I'm going to take a mint green light first, that's 108, and I'm going to go ahead and do a light base coat on this. So I'm just using light pressure here just to get some colour down, and I'm going to do this all over. I think I might leave these little balls in the middle because I might do them a different colour. I'm not 100% sure yet, so I'm just going to work on the base of this first. Okay, so next going in with mint green 107, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some shade into this. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is shade under here where the top would cast a bit of a shadow onto the bottom. And then I'll do the same under these beads. And the same for these ones. And we'll go ahead and do these as well. For this bottom, I'm going to do the edges, so darken them up, and then we can have a lighter bit in the middle. And I think I'll go ahead and darken up these edges as well. So just sort of lift the pressure as you come away, just to like blend that colour out a little bit easier when we get to blending. So we'll do the same here. And for the base, the top rim, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to darken up both edges and then leave a lighter patch in the middle. So the middle's about there, so if we take it to about there. And again, just sort of lift the pressure as you come towards the middle. That way the colour will be a bit lighter. And we'll do the same for this bottom edge. And the sides. And then for the top edge, we'll go ahead and darken it all the way along, because it would be a little bit of a shadow from the rim. And then I'm just going to lift the pressure here and just blend this out a little bit better. So next I'm going to go in with titanium white, which is 072, and we're going to go over where we left the lighter parts. So I'm just going to go from side to side and just drag the colour across. We'll do the same up here. Next, taking Purple Lake Deep 038, I'm going to go ahead and fill in these little circles on here so that it matches the colours that we put on the little teacup and the little kettle here. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in just with normal pressure. And we'll do the same for these ones on the top. And then I'm just going to go back in with mint green light, and I'm just going to add a little bit more colour here just to blend this out a little bit better. And I'll do the same for the bottom. Okay guys, so next we're going to move on to the fruit here, and I'm going to start with the grapes. So I'm going to make them purple, so I'm going to go in with Mauve 093. This is going to be our lightest shade, and I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. So I'm just using normal pressure for this and just filling them in completely. Then going back in with Purple Lake Deep 038, we're going to go ahead and add some shade into these. Now the moon is over here, so I think the lighter parts would be sort of on the tops of these. So we're going to go ahead and shade the bottom parts of them. So for example, this top one here, I'm just going to go ahead and do a bit of shading where it meets the other one. Just sort of darken that up a little bit on the bottom edge. Okay, so we're going to try Mulberry Naught39. Let's see if this one's a little bit darker. So I'll just go ahead and go over what we've just done there. And that looks a little bit darker, so we'll use this colour. So I'm going to do the same for this one, so I'll sort of shade here where it meets the bunch. And then just leave like a little lighter patch on the top. This one's right at the back, so I'm going to fill this one in completely. And the same for this one down here. And then taking Perusian Green 055, we're going to go ahead and fill in the leaves on here. So I'm just going to do them with normal pressure and just fill them in completely. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the lemons. So I've chosen Lemon Yellow 005, and we're going to go ahead and do a base coat on both of these. So this is quite a bright yellowy colour. So again, I'm just using normal pressure here and getting quite a lot of the colour down. Next, taking cadmium yellow 007, I'm going to use this to add some shade, and again I'm going to shade in the bottom parts. So I'm going to start down here and bring this up towards the top of the lemon. And we'll do the same for this one, so we'll shade this back part here and down here and just leave the light bit at the top. Okay, and that's not quite as dark as I want it to be, so I'm going to go in with yellow ochre 077. Now this is more of a brownie colour, so I'm just going to use light pressure here, and I'm just going to go ahead and darken up the very bottom bit of the shading that we just did, just to really accentuate that. And I'll do the same for this one. And then going back in with lemon yellow, I'm just going to go ahead and brighten up where we added the lemon yellow. Okay, so next we're going to move on to our apples, and I'm going to do them red. So I've chosen Terracotta 013. So I'm going to use this as our base, and it's more of like an orangey red colour. So I'm going to go ahead and do a base coat on all of these apples. Next, taking Vermilion 023. Now this is quite a darker red colour. We're going to start to add a bit more redness to these apples. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of darken up the edges that are away from the moon again. So for example, this one, I'm going to darken up under here. And then just take that up and round where you want the colour to be. So I'm just using lighter pressure at the minute just to sort of get an idea of what the colour's going to look like, and I'm just going to darken it up at the bottom, so just add a bit more pressure at the bottom, and then I'm going to leave the light patch on the top. So I'm going to do the same for these ones. So this one down here, I'm going to go ahead and darken up all the bottom edge, and then we'll darken up along here, and then just start to lift the pressure to blend this out. So for this one, it's going to be darker on this side and along the bottom. This one's going to have a bit of shadow along here from the pears, and probably some here. So we'll leave the lighter patch up there. Okay, so going back in with Terracotta 013, I'm just going to go ahead and go over where we blended the two colours together, and then just really light pressure, add a little bit more colour to where we've left the really light colour. Then going back in with our white, and just make sure you've got the green off of it, I'm going to go ahead and go over where we've left the lighter colour and just brighten this up a little bit. Going back in with Perusian green 055, I'm going to fill in all of these little leaves on the tops of the apples. Okay, so next going in with green gold 076, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of a brownie colour to these pears. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the brown here where she's put these little dots, And I'm just going to go in with light pressure and just add a little bit of this colour down. So this is like a greeny brown colour, which I thought might be quite good for the pears. Okay, so I'm just going to go over and add a little bit more pressure here just to get a little bit of a darker colour. Next, taking Cadmium Green Pale 112, we're going to go ahead and fill in the other sides of these pears. So I'm still going to use light pressure here when I go up to the brown. And then you can use a bit more pressure here when you come away from the brown just to really darken that up. So this bit under here I'm going to darken up because this is all in shadow from everything else, and this bit down here as well I'll add a bit more pressure to just to really darken that up. So anywhere you want it to be a little bit darker, you can just go ahead and add a little bit more pressure. And if you want it to have a bit more of a green tint, you can go over some of the brown. So we'll do that on the bottom parts. Okay, so next, going in with our Posca pen, we're going to add some highlights to this. So what I'm going to do is focus the highlights where we left the lightest colour. So for example, on these grapes, I'm just going to add a little dot into where we left the really light highlight. Just to really make it look like the light's catching. And then for these lemons, I'm going to go ahead and go over the dots that she's put in and just cover them up. So for these apples, we're going to go ahead and just add a little line of highlight where we left the lightest colour. And then the pears, I think we'll highlight on this top edge up here. And then I'm going to add a little dot of highlight on these as well. Okay guys, so that's how it's looking so far. So I think we'll move on to this mat next to make a start on this. So I'll zoom you in a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I've decided to do it purple, so we're going to use Lavender Naught39, and we're going to go ahead and add some colour to this. So I'm going to focus the lighter colour in this part here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a light base coat and go around all the little details that we've got on this mat. And I'm going to do this colour on the outside edge as well. So I'll go ahead and do a base coat on this outside edge. And then the next colour that I'm going to use is Mauve Deep 090, and I'm going to use this to fill in this part of the rug so it's a little bit darker. So again, I'm just going to go ahead with light pressure and do a base coat and just go around all of the little details on the rug. Okay, and I quite like how that's looking. So I'm going to go ahead and use this colour again, Mauve Deep. And I'm going to add some shadows where we've done the lighter colour. So like here under the cat's bum, I'm going to make a little shadow. And we'll do the same for this side here. Just go ahead and darken that whole little section up. And then I think I'll add some darker shading right underneath this beading. So I'm just using normal pressure and just going along and just accentuating these little beads. Okay, so going back in with Lavender 036, I'm going to go ahead and fill this bit in completely. So I'm just going to use normal pressure here and just fill this in. And then for this top little bit here, I'm just going to go ahead and lighten the pressure, add a little bit more colour, but still keep it a little bit lighter, because that's where the moon would be catching it. And then I'm just going to go over this bit with the white, just to blend it all together. Just going to darken this shadow up with Mauve Deep, and then just lift the pressure as you come away, just so that it's a little bit more obvious. So I'm going to go back in with Lavender 036 and I'm going to start to fill this in. Now again, as we come to the top, I'm going to lift the pressure. So I'm still adding a bit more colour, but there's not as much pressure. And then going back in with the white, I'm just going to go ahead and go over this bit here. So next I'm going to go in with Mulberry Naught39, and I'm going to use this to add some shade to the darker section. So I'm going to shade here underneath the cat's tail, because that would be a little bit darker. And then just lift the pressure to blend this out a little bit. Then going back in with Mauve Deep, I'm going to go ahead and start darkening this colour up. So I'm going to go over where we've put this dark colour and see how this blends out. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm just going to carry on and go ahead and fill all of this in. And then next I'm going to go in with a gold gel pen, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in this little beading that's on the mat itself. So I thought adding a little bit of gold to it would make it look quite nice. I always like purple and gold together, so. And I think we'll go ahead and colour everything else in as well in the gold and see what that looks like. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. So this is how the page is looking so far. I hope you're enjoying this colour along, and I will see you next week.